Hey, this is John Young with the Jockey News. Today we're looking at two 8-inch speakers. We have the Gemini. This is the AS-08P. This is a 500-watt 8-inch two-way cabinet from Gemini. Then we're putting it up against an Alto. This is the Alto. This is the TS308, which is the latest version of their TS series. There was a 208. We're up to the 308. 8-inch two-way cabinet. Difference being that this says it's a 2,000-watt cabinet. So we're talking about really two different types of cabinets. For a lot of you out there, you're looking at, you're wanting to find an inexpensive cabinet under $200 in the 8-inch series. The Gemini is in that range as far as it's under $200 and such. You can pick this up actually online if you look for it carefully for around $100. This would compare very much like the Rockville, which you can find from Amazon, which is at $99. Bluetooth is like $110. This is going to fit into that category. For those of you looking for that type of cabinet, this is certainly an option. Now there's a couple little nuances with this, and I don't have a Rockville to compare here. We actually did listen to a Rockville compared to this, and they're almost identical sound-wise. Maybe the Rockville had a little bit of a nod, and the biggest difference between the Rockville and the Gemini is back here, is you see how, if you look right there, you see how all the connections are recessed on the Gemini. The Rockville, the different things were kind of protruding. So it would be very easy to shear things off. And that, for me, is a game, that's a deal breaker right there. If you're going to shear things off, I have time for you. So for those of you looking at the Rockville speaker, and you can check the link in the description below, that's what that speaker is, the one that we were looking at. A friend of mine has them. He was using them for a project, and he's gotten rid of them. They're what they are. Some people love them. If you're going to just buy them and use them as your own personal thing and to take good care of them, you're good. If you're going to have staff, you don't want them because, again, you're going to shear them up. But for this one, I'm basically looking at the two next options here. So the Gemini is the next one, probably getting the first one in the more professional DJ line, and then we're going to take it a step up into the Alto, which is a little bit more. Basically, you're looking at about $100 and about $200 a cabinet, somewhere in that ballpark. It might be a little bit fudged left or right depending upon where you buy them, but this will give you an idea. So what I want to do is I want to put some sound to these and kind of let you hear both of them. But first, let's take a look at the back here. On the Gemini, we have two lines in. We basically have a line 1 in here that has your XLR here, and it also has a 1/4-inch jack, so you can run both in there. You can set if it's mic or line depending upon how sensitive you want it to be. Then you have your volume at the top. Line 2 has an 1/8-inch jack, so you can come right out of your device with 1/8 inch, or you can come out of your device with a, and what I'm doing here with an RCA. So for your mobile device, so I can run a microphone and mobile device in here, and then I can send it out in a mix out. That was something that some of the Rockville speakers did not have, was the mix out. It's got a little 2-band EQ, nothing fancy, it's not the greatest, and we'll play with that and you'll get to hear it. Actually, I'm going to set it back to flat, so when we put music to it, you'll get to hear it flat. The Alto. Now, one thing both of them have, and I really like, is that they have the little knob down here for tightening up on your stand. So that once you have it set in a direction, you can tighten these little knobs up, and it's good to go. I absolutely love that in speakers. I think pretty much all DJ speakers should have variation. Alto doesn't have as much for inputs. We have two-channel input. These are a multi-type input here. So it can be the 1/4-inch, like I'm using in this case, or it could be your XLRs, depending upon what you need. And you have your sensitivity, basically, volume, whatever, where if it's more line, if it's more mic. So basically, as you turn it up, it becomes more sensitive. You've got a contour, so it has a bass. You can run it flat, or you can have a contour where it pulls the mids down. And then we have our ground lift. Not a ton of flexibility as far as options for getting sound in, but we're kind of really looking at almost two different speakers. One that's going to be for sure run with a board, and one that could be run in a variety of different ways, depending upon your needs. So I'm going to hook up some sound to this, and the audio track that we're going to be using is nothing fancy for this. We're just actually going to use something that's off the Samsung, my old Samsung phone here. I don't even know, it probably, I'll just plug that in. May not sound all that great, but we're going to just give it a ride here and see what it sounds like. That's flat. I'm going to adjust it a little bit. all the way out. Highs all the way up. Highs and mid, and flat. Bass all the way out. Middle. Bass all the way. Now we're going to do the same track with the alto here. So that's the alto. Now the audio source on both of those was the exact same. I just ran them both in with the RCA connection. So that's what it sounds like, the difference. Obviously we have a lot more horsepower and such with the alto than we do with the Gemini. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the mic test. I've got a really unscientific, unfancy mic here. And check 2, 2, 2, 2, check 1, 2. So we're going to turn the Gemini. I'm going to get, so this is the microphone test. You're now hearing me through the Gemini, and you can, right there I'm getting a little bit of feedback. You can hear that ringing starting up. So I've got the mic at about where I'm standing, here. I've got the gain set at about 1 o'clock right now is where it's at. I'm going to take it back to 12 o'clock. This is off. So back to 12 o'clock. And I could take the gain over there, and then you're hearing the ringing start somewhere in here as I get over about 2 o'clock, somewhere in that ballpark. This is the Gemini, what it sounds like with this microphone. So now we'll go over to our alto and plug it in. I'm going to take this wire completely out because I don't need it in there. Turn that down. And now we'll check in 2, check in 2, check in 2. Mic test 1, 2, 3. Hey, check 1, 2. There's the microphone, and you can hear that kind of volume. And I am right here talking to you with this microphone. Check, and there it is. There's the ring. So I'm going to just back it off right to about this point where there's no ringing going on. And that is just about all the way. I have a little bit more. I would say that's at about 4 o'clock, and there's about 5 o'clock is the end of the gain. But I'm at about 4 o'clock right here on the gain. I can give it a little bit more, and then I'm to that point of ringing out. And there's still a little bit more to go before it gets there. So I can go to about 5:30, and right now I'm at about 4 o'clock, and I can get it to, here's about 4:30, somewhere in that ballpark if you're envisioning a clock. So that's kind of my informal test here, comparing the Gemini, the AS-08P powered speaker, and they've got, of course, the unpowered version, against the Alto Pro. This is the TS308 speaker. Really two completely different boxes. If you're looking for an inexpensive box that can allow you to run your iPad in and have a microphone that may or may not be able to be heard, the Gemini or even the Rockville we talked about earlier could be an option. If you want it between a Rockville and a Gemini, you want one that's a little bit more protected, a little more professional. This has actually been running. We put it in the office because we wanted to test it. We ran the thing for about a week, audio through it for a week here, testing it, and it is still functioning and functioning well. If you're a serious DJ and you want to start with something that you're going to be able to use for a while, you're going to want to upgrade. You're going to want to go up to the TS308 because that's going to give you a nice sounding box that can give you some volume for when you need it. If you are in a bigger room, you add a 12-inch sub below it, and that's going to be able to handle some small weddings and such. So it's definitely an option for those of you out there. Check them out. Links will be in the description below of these boxes and the other one that we were talking about. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News. Thanks for watching.